Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Good evening, everybody. As we normally start out on, we'll do update on department activities. The first item is our staffing. As it is right now, we have one officer that is graduating from the academy on Friday. We have one officer that just entered the academy on Monday. We have two more officers that are slated to enter the academy at the end of December. So with that, that still leaves us 4 short. We have one applicant that is still in background that is progressing well through the background process. And if everything works out with him, he would be scheduled to enter the academy at the beginning or mid-January. We have 2 officers now that are on field training. They were both lateral certified officers. One from Hartford, who actually grew up in town here. And then we had another officer who was a West Hartford officer, transferred over, actually lives in town with his family and wanted to work in the town that he lives in. So both are doing very well. So hopefully within the next few weeks, they'll be ready to go and they'll go out on the road. So we're making some headway, but we're still 4 short. If we get this other officer hired, that would leave us 3 short. So
The one that's doing
Yeah.
background right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're supposed to be 52 sworn, but don't forget too, it's still, even though those officers have been hired and they're at the academy, there's still a considerable time period that's gonna go on before they actually go out on their own. So there's 6 months at the academy and then another 14 weeks of field training. So, I mean, you're looking close to 9 months from the time they get sworn in to the time they're actually gonna be on the road on their own.
Do you have any that are getting ready to retire?
We have a few right now, but there's no, I haven't heard of any getting ready to retire, but there's a number of officers that have their time in that could retire, which is always concerning because that would set you back.
Yeah.
But right now, I haven't heard of anybody getting ready to retire.
Okay, thanks.
So, but yeah, we're making some headway. Calls for service. So everything is the numbers that I give you and the percent changes are to date as of today. So last year, for the entire year of 2021, we made 648 arrests. This year, we're already up, as of today, we're already at 800.
Wow.
So we're showing a large increase in the number of arrests. Assaults really hasn't changed that much. Serious assaults. Last year, we had 21 at this time, and this year we have 19. Burglaries, last year we had 163. This year, at this time, we have 65, and that's a reduction of 60%.
Wow.
Domestics, last year 336, this year 348, so a slight increase, 3.5% increase. DUIs, last year we had 65 arrests for DUIs. Right now we're at 77, so that's an increase of 18%. And I think when you look at the traffic violations and traffic enforcement, those are up considerably. And I can talk a little bit about that. Larcenies, we're seeing an uptick in larcenies. Last year, 552, we're at 623. So that's almost a 13% increase. Car brakes are considerably down. Last year, we had 406. This year, we're at 240. But don't forget, last year was that
I was like,
crazy,
cars?
that crazy year.
Right.
240 is still a lot,
Yeah.
but nowhere near as where we were last year.
Yeah.
Which was
Well, I mean, even if you take away, what was it, 101 night or something like that?
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
crazy, still 306
Yeah,
versus 240.
you're exactly right.
So,
Yep,
It's
yep.
improving.
So accidents are up. Property accidents went from 860 to 909. That's a 5%, 5.5% increase. Motor vehicle accidents with injury, slight increase, 121 last year, 129 this year. Fatals last year, 2. This year, we've only had 1. And then evadings are up. We had 138 last year, and we're at 161. So that's an increase of 16%. Robberies is a huge uptick in robberies. Last year we had 11. This year we're up to 22. That's a 100% increase. You know, the stolen cars are down, similar to the car breaks, 62 last year, 41 this year. So that's a reduction of 33%. Traffic stops, last year we had 1,695. This year we're up to 3,535. And then traffic stops, where officers try to stop a vehicle, whether it's for a traffic violation, a crime, stolen car, whatever, and they just take off and we don't chase. Last year we had 70. This year we're up, as of today, 106. So that's a 51% increase. One of our officers received a MAD award a couple weeks ago, and I was there, and they were talking about the uptick in DUI, drug driving, pedestrian fatalities in general are up. So they're looking at the reasons why and how they could curtail it. So one of the things we started working on here was to emphasize, traffic enforcement dealing specifically with DUI, speeding, moving violations, and red lights, because those are the types of offenses or violations that can contribute most to accidents. So we've been focusing on that, and that's one of the reasons why you see the big uptick in the traffic enforcement is to deal with those issues. So I know the state is very concerned about it. I would venture to say there's probably going to be some grant money out there, but it's difficult for us to take advantage of that grant money when our staffing levels are so low.
Yeah.
Because it's on overtime, and officers are already being ordered in to cover patrol shifts. So it's difficult to take that grant money and have them, getting ordered in to work those traffic jobs. It's a major burden and it's a strain on them. So until we get our staffing levels up to where they need to be, we're not going to apply for that grant money because we just can't, burden the officers. So, but they've been doing a good job doing the traffic enforcement on their regular shifts, especially when you consider how busy it's really been over the last. We've been really busy. You may have seen some of the things that have gone on in the paper, but you could see that the traffic enforcement is way up compared to what it was last year. Anybody have any questions?
I was gonna just say, does the holiday season increase the traffic stops and burglaries then? Do you think that?
It's been pretty consistent right along. I mean, we've been dealing with a lot of shopliftings.
Yeah.
And those have stayed steady. The traffic is, Newington's a parking lot. You drive through here during rush hour, especially during the evening hours.
Yeah.
And the traffic is just backed up. So
Is that so the traffic stop? Didn't they install the lights specifically to help control traffic?
well,
Like those new lights?
yeah, the lights up on the turnpike are more the lights are updated and they're on those poles
Yeah,
to, so they don't fall in a storm. I mean,
these are huge.
yeah, some of those footings go down
Like-
25 feet.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
Those
hope
things
so.
are, those things are
They're not
bomb
going
proof.
any-
Yeah.
No, they're not going anywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, they don't look very good.
No.
But,
How you doing?
but, yeah, there, if there's a windstorm or something big, that those things aren't moving.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, my wife was saying they were, she read up, they were put in to help with the
Yeah.
flow of traffic.
Yeah, well, they put in,
during the-
if you look, they put in some crosswalks there too.
Oh, okay.
To nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want to use a crosswalk going across the Berlin Turnpike.
Yeah.
They- Yeah, they
Yeah.
are there, so.
I thought you guys were downstairs. I'm sorry. I'm like downstairs.
No,
I'm
that's
like-
okay. We were originally supposed to be in the council chambers.
Yeah, and then they're
And
there.
then they had an emergency meeting,
Okay.
so, we had to change.
I tried to log in via Zoom, but it's not the same as like Board of Ed where you couldn't see me. So I was in there since 6:50 and I was like, I'm just gonna drive over there really quickly. Maybe I'll make it.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
So, hi, how are you? I'm Anastasia Yap. I'm the chairman of finance on the Newington Board of Ed. And I think I'm the only Board of Ed member on your committee. And I think I'm on the Youth Advocate Council for the town as well, and the Curriculum Committee, and the Rotary Club, and the Women's Club, and a lot of other clubs. So it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm the one who just ran for state rep in your town. So how are you?
Good.
I would love to
Nice.
know all of you guys as well.
Yes, you know me.
Yes.
GFWC.
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Mary Hool.
Nice to meet
I've lived in this town. I was born in this town. Have lived here with my family since 2010.
Okay.
I have a senior and a freshman at the high school.
Oh yeah, I get to walk across the stage this year.
Yeah.
So excited.
And yeah, so thank you very much for all the work that you do
Thank
for
you.
them,
Oh,
because it makes a difference.
I try.
And I've been a member of this.
You're the original.
Yeah, I feel like I'm like
Really?
the OG, yeah.
2015.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I'm
awesome.
an old timer.
Yeah, and I'm Steve Clark. I'm the chief of police.
I know who you are. I know.
Todd Russell, lived in Newington, probably over 15 years now. And I joined this in, I don't know, 2020, into 2020, something
End
like
of
that.
2020, yeah.
Yeah, so.
So are
yeah.
you a police officer or are you?
No,
Okay.
no.
I think I saw you at the registrar. Were you at
I
Wallace?
was, yeah, good memory.
Okay.
Oh Lord, now I forgot her
Election day.
name. Yeah, the election day, she introduced me to you,
Leanne.
Leanne, yeah, Johnson, yeah,
She's on Rotary with me.
she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I'll do that when it comes up, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
Derek Walker, Newington Police Department, just helping out today with some of the technical issues.
Thank
He's
you.
our- Yeah, he's our technology
I've
specialist.
seen that before too. Is there other members here?
There's other members, but they couldn't make it tonight. So there's about 8, but we're always looking for new members, so.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I have a friend. He's ex-military.
Okay.
I think he did 2 tours in Iraq, one in Afghanistan. He lives in Newington.
Okay,
So his family lives here for a long time, but he's on my RTC. He's joining Rotary, and he just came back. He's been in the U.S. I think 2 years now
okay.
from being deployed so much.
Oh,
He
okay.
went in at 18. He's 34, so he's
Yeah.
been in since. He did Navy, Marines, and National Guard.
Oh,
All right, so he wants to get involved. He's on Zoom somewhere. So
Good.
I told him, I said, you should join something. I told him he should apply to the police department.
Yep,
That's what
Yeah.
he should do. But
great,
he's excited just getting involved. So.
good.
Nice.
So, we talked about the emphasis on traffic enforcement, so we'll continue those efforts.
Can I ask a question in regards
Sure.
to that? So in regards to like adding a speed bump or a, what is it called? The ones that you can drill in and take out?
Yep.
How does that work? Because I
We
spoke to people.
we typically don't do, I shouldn't even say typically, we don't do speed bumps because of storm removal.
Yeah.
What about the
liability.
what about the ones that you can remove? There's like different ones, because I was at the
Yeah.
highway department and they said that they have different ones. They have the ones that are just,
Mhm.
and then they have the one that you can drill in. Because like on my street, which you guys saw in the news 2 days ago. They were driving 80 to 90 miles an hour, an eighth. And like, I have a
Oh.
5-year-old.
Oh.
So we're seeing that more and more often.
Mhm.
And maybe a speed bump would help.
Yeah, that, I can tell you that.
At least a little bit. I mean,
You're-
I
you're
was
not-
coming in my
You're
car and
not
I'm like,
the only-
whoa.
You're not the only one that's asked for a speed bump. I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you, as many as 20 years ago, they've been asking for speed bumps, and the town is reluctant to put the speed bumps there for, like I said, storm removal.
Right.
If a car gets damaged, the town is responsible for the damage.
Oh, really?
So the best way to do that is through enforcement efforts. And we're, as much as we try to stay on the main roads and keep an eye on areas that are prone to accidents, we do get calls to go into the residential areas for
Like 8th
speeding,
Street.
stop signs. But, what's important too is as much as we do the enforcement, I mean, we need follow through with the courts. I mean, yeah, we give a ticket, but the ticket doesn't mean anything if there's no fine that's assessed or they don't prosecute.
So
And
what do you guys do in regards to the juveniles? Because that's something that we have an issue with, especially with a lot of the people doing it are kids. So what are you gonna do with a
there's-
kid?
it depends. In Newington, we have JRB, it's a juvenile review board.
Okay,
There's the SRO, there's human services, there's schools, and they go before JRB for relatively minor offenses where those cases aren't referred to the juvenile courts or handled locally. More serious offenses, they go to juvenile court. And then if it's a serious juvenile offense, then it can get kicked over to the adult court, depending upon how serious the arrest is or the crime is. But typically the minor ones, it may not even make JRB. It may be, you just release the youth if it's like, something minor and it's a one-time offense. You may just release them to their parents, or they go to JRB, and JRB may be, community service or some other
I'm all for community service.
services that the youth may need, but the more serious ones will go to the juvenile court, which is in the break.
So for like something like my neighborhood where it's like constant speeding, are there like signs we can put up? Like there's some kids that are kind of disabled, like can we put like deaf child in area or?
Yeah, I mean,
Because we do have that and we don't
could-
have those
we could-
signs.
We could put signage up there.
Where's 8th Street?
It's off of, okay, you have to go in New Britain to get to 8th.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
This
So
is
it's
where
like
you said where you
6,
grew up?
7,
Yep.
Yeah,
8.
okay,
fifth.
all right, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a circle. So if
Yes.
it's easy to speed around.
Yeah.
But like for me, that was like
Oh,
traumatizing because like I was
yeah.
getting groceries. I have a 5-year-old who's high functioning autistic, and we were like walking in, and it was the craziest thing I've ever been through.
I'm trying to figure out how you would go 90. Like,
Well,
I
they
mean,
were shooting
there's
as
a
well.
straight
It
way.
wasn't just.
Oh,
Yeah,
It
there
wasn't
there-
just-
There
I
was,
get that.
there was
It
more
was
to it.
shooting.
yeah.
Oh, shooting in, speeding?
Yeah.
It was really fast, and at first I thought it was like a muffler because the way it sounded, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I grew up in Hebron, so it's a little different. So I was like, what the heck? And then I was like walking, and I was like, oh yeah, this is not what I want. So I was just thinking with like the speeding, and we see that like in the summers. If we can't do speed bumps, maybe signs showing that there are so many children. A lot of those kids play in the street,
Mhm.
like they have a basket, they're like playing, and they shouldn't, but they do
Mm.
because of the way it is, and like the park over there, which I'm working with Bill to try to fix it, because it's destroyed. There's like no slide. They ripped it off, so like they don't have the park to go through, so they play like in the street. And I just want to ensure that we can, if we can't put up speed bumps because obviously the snow, maybe a sign, because we have a couple of deaf kids.
Yeah.
And what if they can't hear it or see it fast enough or something like that, or maybe like I don't know. Where I grew up, we had neighborhood watch. It's a little different. So with like a car, and I know you guys have a lot already on you. You have the turnpike. People forget that the Newington owns most of the turnpike. So I'm thinking like, what could we do residentially to just kind of help out, like help you?
Yeah.
I
No, the
just-
signage, we can do that. That's not a problem. But, the complaints with the speeding is what we can do too is we have a traffic box that we put up that records the speeds.
Could we add one of those possibly?
Well, we can put that up and get an
Yeah.
idea. It gives us a good idea of what the speeds are, when they are.
I think that'd be
So it
really
helps
good.
us determine when's the best time to
You
do
can put it right on my
enforcement.
property. It's okay.
We put 'em up.
I'd love it right there. I own 3 on that street. Just put it right there. I wouldn't even complain. I don't even want to.
I mean, we can do that too.
Yeah, that'd be really good. Thank you.
What about more stop signs? Because on Goodale, where I live,
I know. that
Yeah.
area.
you know,
Well, see,
there's like,
there's a false, stop signs aren't put for controlling speed.
right,
They're there to safen intersections, and there's a certain criteria that the intersection has to meet in order to have a stop sign put in. And people typically want stop signs put up to slow people down. And studies have shown what happens is, number one, they don't stop for the stop
that's
sign.
right.
They roll
It's
through
optional.
Yeah.
and they end up driving faster to make up the time because not
Oh.
a speed between the stop signs.
Got it.
So,
Interesting. I've actually witnessed that.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
While I'm walking the dog,
yeah.
you know, it's like,
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you from where I sit,
yeah,
the number one complaint I get in town is speeding
yeah,
and
It is.
traffic offenses.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's a huge part of my day, I can tell you that from people. I mean, we can't control the traffic volume. I mean, the amount of cars that come into town, we can't control that.
Mhm.
It's a regional issue, but as far as, you know, the speeding, some of the violations, we can certainly, you know, put extra patrols out or have traffic details to deal with that. And we've done a good job doing that. All you gotta do is just look at the numbers,
Yeah.
but the numbers aren't everything either. So,
Mm.
you know, it's trying to focus on those violations that contribute most to accidents, you know, at the intersections. That
Like Cedar area, that
that's, you
4-way.
know, it's speeding, unsafe lane changes,
mhm.
and red light violations that
Mhm.
contribute.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Is there a reason why we don't have like the double yellow lines on like Dix Avenue? So people know like what side of
Well,
the
the
street they're
smaller,
really
the
supposed to be on?
smaller, yeah, what they did way back when is when they redid the roads. They didn't put the double yellow lines in the real small residential areas
Hmm.
because there's really not a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So the only thing they put in was the stop bars.
Yep.
But they didn't put the double yellow because it was just,
It's just
not
such a
there's
small
not
area.
Yeah, there's not a lot of traffic and people,
What's a stop bar?
the stop bar, you know, the white
Edge.
stop bar. in front of-
Oh,
Yeah.
On
yeah.
the edge of the road.
Or, you know, when you get
Where
to
the
the
stop
stop
Oh,
sign
sign.
stop
be-
sign,
yeah,
stop
stop
bar.
bar,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. All right.
The white one.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
aesthetically, I think, and I'm dating myself, people like not having a lot of signage or, you know, the line paintings in the roads and in, you know, the residential areas, because they thought it took away from the, I'm dating myself.
So what would the process be to get that speed box in? Like, what's the steps?
What I'll do is I will leave myself a note.
I'm volunteering my house. I am. I own 138, 140, and 7, so you can put it right there. And I would love a speed box. And if some people would say, I don't want it near my house, I want it near my house. I'm 100%
No, we'll
okay
put
with
it
it.
up, and again, it records the speeds and the times.
I love that. I would love that.
So it just gives us an idea of when the most violations are occurring, so we can plan accordingly.
Is there like a camera on there so they could see like?
No, it doesn't, no, it doesn't,
No,
That's what I was
Kitchen
hoping.
people.
it doesn't record license plates
No.
and
it's,
they're not, in Connecticut, it's not something they allow.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well, I'm happy with this feedback. Listen, I came to this meeting, I'm excited. And like I said, if they need it, because I know you have to figure out where to put it, right? Is that,
Right.
you
well,
put
we'll
it
do-
right
we'll-
at my
We'll
house.
put it right in the middle of it.
Put it right in the middle of my street. I own a
Oh,
left to right, just put it right, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't even care. I would love it. I have 2 German shepherds, so people usually
Oh,
don't stop in front of my
yeah,
house.
just put them out, that'll do
Yeah, there you
it.
go.
I have some good girls, but
Okay.
I would love it. So
All right, we'll take care of that.
thank you.
Department activities, we had stuff a cruiser at Walmart
That's awesome.
last weekend. What's it? Tomorrow night, is it tomorrow night or Dick's Sporting Goods?
Yes.
The new one or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
old ones?
The
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 mall?
Dick's Sporting Goods, that's in Newington, up by the mall.
Okay.
That's still Newington, and what we're doing is, working with them, we're doing Shop with a Cop. So basically, we've identified a group of youth in town that play sports,
That's cool.
that need, assistance getting equipment, whether it's a glove, a bat, cleats, or whatever.
Nice.
So, the kids are coming in with their parents tomorrow night at the PD. We're gonna have a pizza party,
Oh, that's
and then
nice.
after, the school department donated a bus, the kids and the parents and the officers will go on the bus. We'll do a police escort to Dick's.
Do they need any funding or are they all set?
We're all
Yeah.
set.
Okay.
And each kid will get $100 gift card, and they can go
That's
through Dick's
awesome.
and get whatever it is that they need for their sport.
That's really cool.
Mm.
I like
Is that
that.
the first time you've done that?
We've
That
done
is
Shop with a Cop, but this is the first time we've actually just done it in Newington.
Great.
I
You
like
should have a
that.
little
Yeah, so,
publicity on
yeah,
that.
and it's geared towards sports.
Yeah.
Because it's Dick's Sporting Goods, so
Right.
we reached out to some of the teams, for kids that, need equipment.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be
Good
nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I
That's
like
good.
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then,
When are you supposed to be there?
what time are they doing at 6?
I believe it's 6.
Yeah, so they'll come here, we'll have pizza, and then they'll do a police escort up to Dick's by the mall, and kids will go shopping.
I think that's really nice.
Um,
Huh, all right.
So, one other thing, the PD, we were awarded a COPS grant for de-escalation training. We are one of only 45 police departments through the country to get the grant.
Wow.
So, we applied for the grant, and we were awarded the grant, so $68,000 grant
Wow.
to train in de-escalation, so.
Is there a curriculum that comes with it, or?
We gotta develop.
Oh,
it.
you make the
Yeah,
curriculum,
yeah,
okay.
so I'm in contact with somebody that specializes in that to do the train the trainer.
Okay.
So we'll be working on that.
And where do you find this particular person then?
This
that
person
does
is
it?
well-known in de-escalation called Leeds.
Okay.
Okay.
And I've known him for years,
Yeah,
and he teaches not only around the country, but all over the world
That's awesome.
in use of force,
Is-
de-escalation.
Is the 68,000 enough for each officer to get trained, or do you still need more?
No, yeah, and actually I may use a portion of that 22,000, 25,000 to do a system where it's a scenario is projected on a screen and they respond accordingly. But you have to build in, it can't just be use of force, you have to have a de-escalation component to it.
That's
For it to
awesome.
be accepted, so, it's still in the works, there's still a lot of moving parts that we have to address, but, we got awarded the grant, there's only 45 police departments throughout the country that were awarded the grant.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is
That's
this
great.
an annual grant or is it like?
No,
It's just a
no,
one-time?
yeah, this is,
Okay.
yeah, it's a one-time thing, so.
it's what you come up with, is that something that other locations would potentially?
Well, we
use
can
as a
certainly,
template,
yeah,
or-
once we have the curriculum put into place, we can
Yeah.
certainly share it.
Yeah.
To other departments, especially, the mid-state departments that we work with,
Mhm.
Berlin, Rocky Hill, Weathersfield.
Oh, okay, like,
That's really cool. I like that.
So,
yeah,
on to item 2, state accreditation requirements. So part of the police accountability bill, we have to be accredited. They really wanted departments to be CALIA, which is a national accreditation standard, but it's very costly and time consuming. So they have a state accreditation here in Connecticut. So the legislature changed the requirement to say you can either be nationally accredited or state accredited. So we're going to start working on accreditation. If you don't know what it is, it's basically they're police standards, industry standards. And in Connecticut, there's 3 tiers. There's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And we have to be tier 1 accredited, and we're actually getting audited in June of 2023. So I have one officer, actually a sergeant, that's assigned as accreditation manager to begin working on that. And tier 1 is specifically deals with liability standards. So liability standards would basically insulate the PD in the town from lawsuits. So those standards focus on, liability issues. And it could be communications, evidence and property, holding facility, juveniles, officer authority, use of force, training. So those standards specifically deal with liability issues. And to give you an example, property room. And some of the stuff we already do it. The property room contains a lot of property, contains firearms, contains drugs, contains money. So what we do twice a year, we actually do an audit in the property room. We go in and we audit an inventory. So we'll randomly select, say, 10 drug cases, 10 cases involving money, 10 cases involving firearms. And the property officer has to go through there and, have all the paperwork in place, have all the evidence in place. So it's an audit, so there's no surprises. I think if you Google police property rooms, you will see sometimes there's missing property and things of that nature. So our property room is very secure. There's only one person that was responsible for it. There's no access. So when officers submit property, they go into an area, they process it. There's cabinets with little doors, and basically they put the property in that door, lock it up. And the only way for that property to get removed is from the property officer on the other side. So goes in, removes the property, checks it in. So it's a very controlled, and that's what, some of the standards deal specifically with those issues.
I have a question.
Sure.
You said there were multiple accreditations, state and national. Are you going to be seeking the state accreditation first and then?
Yeah,
moving up?
we'll seek state accreditation. And to be, I don't have any plans to do national accreditation. And whether regardless of what my belief is in accreditation, it's not a fix all to police reforms. It's one aspect of it. Our policies and procedures are very sound. We review them annually, and as new things come up, we add policies, we make changes, we stay on top of them. And there's other departments that may not do that. I think if you look at some police agencies that are accredited, they've had some major issues. So it's not an end all. It's your policy and procedures. It's your training. It's your the personnel, the people that you hire, the people that you promote. Having accountability systems. It's not just. I think people think that everybody's going to be accredited and things are going to get better. It's not. It's only one aspect.
I agree.
And our policies are good, and but again, it's only one aspect. So June 2023, we have to be tier 1 accredited, and then after that is tier 2 the following year, 2024, and that those are professional standards, addressing legal requirements in operation. And tier 3, is general management, but it's very time consuming. You have to have an accreditation manager, and for every standard you have to have a file.
Yep.
So when you complete the standard, the documentation has to go in that file. And so when they do the audit, they go to the file and they look for the documentation. Yeah. So it's not just having the policy in place that meets the standard. you have to prove that you're following the standard, and there has to be a paper trail, and that's what's so time consuming. You know, it's, safe communications. But the standard says every officer has to have access to a radio. So that documentation, it would be simply, you know, all the officers and their radio assigned to the officers to prove that that standard is being met. So some of the standards are relatively easy. Some of the standards are a little bit more involved, but when the auditors come in, they go right to the file and they're looking to see if those standards are being followed. So that's why we have to have, an accreditation manager, somebody specifically, to deal with that, rewrites the policies, and then, make sure the documentation is there.
Got it.
So now if you get to a situation where you have your audit come in and there's a finding, so that you're not doing something to standard, or there's a myriad of things that are not being done to standard.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that Newington would, but any agency, have they explained to you what the remedies that the state has? Is it
I
like
think
the
this-
state would come in and kind of
the-
take over
It's
the?
not that it's not like the police department is certified
Yep,
and they can't yank your certification, but,
okay,
I've heard maybe that they could, you can't get grant money.
Yeah, that's
oh,
normal.
so I mean,
Yeah.
That's the same with the board.
Yeah.
There's no,
so there's
the remedy
much
would be, you gotta
to
fix
it,
this, but
yeah.
if you don't, I don't know what.
We
the-
cut off your funding.
what the-
Right.
what the
Same with the Board of Ed. They do the
consequences
same
would be.
thing to us.
So,
Okay,
any questions? So what we're starting at, we have 6 months. I'll let you know how it goes, but they're doing it in tiers. We'll focus on our tier 1 and the liability standards. And, out of all of them, I would, that's probably one of the best because it insulates the PD in the town from lawsuits.
Yep.
We do something wrong, somebody files a suit, town's okay. Center for Policing Equity, I feel like I'm a broken record when it comes to this. But I can tell you that the report is coming out the first quarter of next year. So January, February, or March, the report is coming out. They assured me that. What the report is not gonna have is use of force review, because we don't use a lot of force here. So, one of the other things is policy recommendations. I sent them all our policies, and there's a few things that they want in the policy. Some wording changes, which some of it I agree with, some of it I don't agree with. The ones that I agree with, we'll certainly make those changes. But there's some that I'm not in favor of, and I'll give you an example. In Connecticut has the use of force policy. It's by post. And those standards are a result of the law in Connecticut, the Public Act. And one of the things in the post policy through the state is you cannot use chokeholds unless it's a deadly force situation. So basically, if you're in a ground fight and you're fighting for your life, you can use whatever measures you need to save your life. And if that means putting somebody in a chokehold, then you can do that. I don't have a problem with that. If somebody's trying to kill you and you're fighting for your life, you should have the ability to do whatever means is necessary to save your life. Center for Policing Equity wants language in our use of force policy that prohibits it altogether.
But we already know why, so.
We know why, and it's from George Floyd.
Mhm.
But my argument with them, and I wouldn't call it an argument, my debate with them was what happens when an officer is in a ground fight fighting for their life and the policy prohibits them from using a chokehold.
Can you use your gun?
Are we to, is the officer just left there to
Use weapons.
So, and they were very respectful, and there's a few others that I'm not in agreement with, and they understand. But a lot of the others are just, other changes, which I fully support. An example is they want language, and we do this in our background investigations, for a polygraph. Are you affiliated with any hate groups? We ask that in our polygraph. But however, there's some wording in our policies that address that, but not strong wording. They would like stronger wording in our policies that addresses that issue.
Like what?
I don't have it with
Oh,
me,
okay, I didn't know.
but I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. You know, so there's changes in wording that I not a big, I support it, but there's a few things. You know, one of the other issues was the use of a police canine. Although we don't have a canine program right now, we did. And they wanted a deployment of the police canine only in like a deadly force situation. And I'm in disagreement with
Me
that.
too, I'm a shepherd
Um,
family.
you know, I'm not, if we have somebody that we know is in the building.
Yeah.
And they're not coming out. I'm not gonna send officers in danger when I can send a canine.
I have my
So-
friends, actually, the people who trained my two shepherds professionally, they used to be canine handlers in the military. So both of my dogs are professionally trained in German. And he would tell me different stories about the fact that sometimes the dogs can fit into
Mhm.
crevices that a person physically can't, and help like sniff out drugs or different things. And I think that we should have a canine force. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Because there are things that even like my dogs, and they're very well trained, go off when they were with him to do, because like if you're looking for, and I don't know if we have this in Newington, I don't know. Like if you're looking for drugs or something, I mean, I'm a person, I might be able to fit in a crevice that my 75-pound shepherd can. And they're really smart and highly intelligent, and they're able to do these things. I would be all for a canine unit.
Well,
but-
we've always had a canine unit. The reason we don't have it is because our staffing. We just don't have the
Okay.
staffing. We'll resurrect that when we're able to get our staffing back up.
How many people are you looking?
We're four short right now.
Okay.
But when you had the canine, you were given demonstrations at like
Right.
Police Night Out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not deadly for, I mean, they're trained to do like some things that.
Right,
doesn't
it all,
really hurt.
it all,
Yeah.
right, it all boils down to how the dog is trained.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it boils down to how the dog is trained and the handler.
Right.
You know, and, at the end of the day, it's, the policy in the training. And, I mean, they understood what my concerns are, and they're very respectful, but, because we're gonna be doing the accreditation, so we're gonna be making some revisions to our policy. So some of their recommendations that I agree with, now's the time, because we're gonna be rewriting some of those policies.
Are these police officers who are helping you make these decisions?
Some have some police experience.
Mhm.
Our liaison actually is a retired lieutenant.
Oh, good.
And that's why they're good to talk to, because, I mean, there's some that have police experience and some that don't.
It's
And
hard
the
when you
ones
don't.
that have the police experience, they understand. And they're, they're not judgmental. They understand, and they understand, what my position was.
It's
and
different because you actually did the job than someone who's just reading a piece of
So,
paper. So
That
I agree.
will continue to work.
When
on
you
that.
make your recommendations, do you act alone or do you have a group of like regional cohorts that you write a combined letter? I mean, are you a voice crying by yourself or?
No, because there's only when it comes to Center of Policing Equity, there's only a number of police departments in Connecticut that have been working with them. We've been working with them since 2015. And actually, our report will be the first report released in the state of Connecticut. And there's other police departments that have been working with them. Yeah, I mean, they've been good. They've been good to work with. They really have. And we've had a number of different liaisons. because they're growing by leaps and bounds.
Hmm.
They really are. So, they're, like I said, they're good to work with. It's good to get their opinions, and try to stay open-minded. But, there's certain things that I have some strong feelings when it comes to training and, use of force and things of that nature. And they understand it. Um, You know, officer safety is very important to me. And, when it comes to that, that is number one. And I don't want to make any changes in policy or training that might jeopardize an officer.
I agree.
We had an officer shot and killed here. I never want to see that again. So that's stayed with me.
Yeah.
And my focus is very much on officer safety, and they understood that. I mean, I understand they don't want chokeholds, but when somebody's trying to kill you and you're fighting for your life, you have everything at your disposal to make it through that fight so you can go home to your family.
They're coming at you also, working with several other police stations around the
Yeah.
country,
Yeah,
or maybe like chokeholds is like,
right,
could be like
right.
a standard. I know
Right.
we had that conversation where it's like, here is one, like
Yeah,
Newington's one case,
Yeah.
but you could have
but it-
other stations that are
right. But
run
it's
horribly.
it's interesting because when I was talking to the late liaison about, I was like, I don't know if you have, Derek, but I mean, I've been doing this job since '86. I have never been taught a chokehold or a sleeper hold. I've never,
Mm.
ever.
But they're comparing
But I
it to
can tell
what
you-
cities and
But what
towns.
happens is when you're in a fight, you look at street fights, and as a kid, when you fought, what's the first thing you did? You tried to put somebody in a headlock.
Mm.
You're gonna resort to what you're comfortable with. And when you were fighting as kids, everybody tried to put somebody in a headlock.
Yeah.
And you
There's no
can't do
rules.
that.
So what cities are they comparing it to? Because Newington is completely different than even like a Hartford or a Bridgeport. Like,
Well, a lot of the
It's
cities that
completely
they,
different.
right, a lot of the cities that they've worked with are very large,
Yeah.
very large cities.
that's a
So,
completely different
It is,
animal
and
in
they,
itself.
and they understand that. And
Mhm.
I think the reason why it's taken so long for them to release this report, because Connecticut isn't like, there's 169
Yeah.
municipalities. I mean, how many police departments? I mean, the work that they've done are with police departments that have 1,000, 5,000 police officers that have, 500,000 or 300,000 residents. We have 30,000 residents. And you have to take into account, you know, Hartford, New Britain, Weathersfield, Berlin, all these towns contribute to, our traffic.
Because the Berlin Turnpike.
Right, so I think they were struggling in how to, come out with the report, because they understood that there's so much that affects, our crime rates, our traffic. It's just not Newington.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you that 60% of the people that we give traffic tickets to aren't even Newington residents.
Right.
Mhm.
They're-
That makes sense. You have the Cedar, you have the
Right,
Berlin Turnpike,
right.
you have those major areas and
So,
But as part of what they're doing, trying to come up with something that's a little more universal and equitable to
right,
like
right,
all communities
right.
versus just
You
like
know what?
specifically Newington, or, because like when I think of the chokehold, I can't, like Eric Gardner, right?
Yeah,
How it was like, that was on video, and the officer went
Yeah.
like straight to a chokehold to
Right.
bring him down. And then, I mean, I'm not an
You gotta
officer, I look at it, I'm like, it didn't seem like he was,
right, you're right. You gotta look
That's
at the,
violent.
right, you gotta look at the offense.
right,
And how much resistance
yeah.
there is.
I think
And
everything is a situation, right? So we look at these extreme situations, not that they're not happening, and we can't make those like our reality every day. Because I've never been an officer. I have one of my cousins used to be the chief of police in Middletown. I have a lot of family who's in the military and police, and those things don't happen often. It's just that those things that don't happen often are just like the news just makes it seem like
No,
it's something that happens
everybody's got a
every
camera
single
on it.
day.
Right.
And exactly like what happened years ago now, like everybody has a phone out, right?
Right.
So I think, and I'm just saying this from me having a family of officers and military, like that doesn't happen every day. That doesn't even probably happen every year, but
But
it,
it's interesting. I took a class, and when you say it doesn't happen often,
Mhm.
it only has to happen once.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
I get it.
all right,
Yeah.
so as a father
Mhm.
of two girls,
Mhm.
and my kids went away to college,
Mhm.
and look what's happening in Idaho.
Mhm.
One incident,
Mhm.
and look at the effect it's having. So yeah, it doesn't happen a lot, but when something does happen, it has a huge
Comes.
effect.
yeah,
And you know what? And if my girls were going to school there or in any, you're worried. You're worried.
you are.
You know?
I get it, but what I'm saying is from like your perspective, you're saying I should be able to do whatever I can to save my life, right?
Well, it
But
depends.
because the incident happened, now they want to restrict you from being able to save your life because that one thing happened. So there has to be some sort
There
of
has to
But
be a
there
balance.
might not,
balance.
it might not just be, I use that one example
Right.
because that's what I've seen.
Yep.
But I don't know if they're talking to other departments where they're like, we'll get to the chokehold pretty quickly. And versus like talking to
But
the
you'll-
Newington PD,
Yeah,
which is
but you'll
like,
have
we
that
don't even
opportunity.
use that.
When the report comes out and they release the report, I mean, you'll have that opportunity to ask them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love
Yeah.
that.
So, I mean, you'll certainly be able.
I just feel bad because I know there are so many officers that are really good. And I think that when things like that happen, it made people who are officers either not want to be officers anymore, or people felt like, oh, they're a bad person. But they're really not. Like you're
Yeah.
putting your life on the line for us every single day. And I appreciate that.
Mhm.
And I am 100% against defunding anything with the police. So I think that you guys need help and need protection because I'm not risking my life every day. With my job and my actual career, and I've worked federal for 6 years now. I'm in my house, remote. Okay. And although my title, like legally is federal officer, I'm not actually on the street. And I thank and commend all the officers for risking your lives every day. I've never been in those situations ever. So for me, it's like, what can we do to make sure you're okay? And that's how I feel because I can see whatever I want on a piece of paper, but I'm not there. I'm not the one late night calls all night, whatever the situation is. So I want to say just like thank you for that because you're putting your life online and you have a family just like I do. So I think we should do what we have to protect you
I appreciate that.
at all times.
Next item,
Yeah.
actually Nancy she's not here tonight. She wanted to talk about the opioid overdoses. So I got some figures
Mhm.
that she was interested in. So since 2015, there have been a total of 58 Newington residents who have lost their lives due to an overdose.
Wow.
Since
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And 52 out of those 58 were a result of opioids. So
Mhm.
it could be fentanyl, could be heroin, could be a lot. I can tell you a lot of it is a combination of the two. And Derek was in the DD. So, I mean, he saw some of that firsthand.
Well,
I just read in the paper, as long as you're saying that, of the children who died
Yeah,
with just the exposure.
right. Yeah, exactly. So, but.
what do you mean like in the air? Is that what you mean?
Well,
I mean,
if they
they
touch
happen to
it,
be
they
living.
touch it, they,
Right.
rub their eyes or their
System.
nose.
Yeah.
Oh, they
or-
just died.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Excuse me. So having said that, since 2000, so far in 2022, there's only been one.
Okay.
So
Oh,
just
that's
one.
good. Better.
But there's been, so far this year, there's been 131 Newington residents that have gone to either an ED, emergency department, or urgent care with an opioid-related overdose.
How many?
131. And so far this year, our officers that have administered Narcan 10 times on individuals that were overdosing on opioids. So potentially
the
those 10
standard
could
thing
have
to have.
been a death, but because they
Yeah.
administered the Narcan,
And that's become like a standard thing to have.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
carry
I
it
mean,
on.
we've been carrying it for 4 years now. 5
No,
years.
if these are, if any of these are repeat offenders.
I think some of them are, yeah, yeah.
Right. Right,
This way?
right,
Oh, sorry.
right there.
So, does anybody have any questions on that? The Connecticut Central Health District keeps all these stats.
Mhm.
And they actually have a heat map of where all of them are.
Mhm.
And as you could imagine, there's a lot up on the turnpike at the motels.
I went through some CERT training and they gave people who were in that.
Yeah.
Narcan,
Yeah.
so I have some in my car.
Yeah, it's good to have.
Yeah.
Department training. So, we don't have the figures for this year because we're still in this year. But last year, we recorded over 3,000 hours in officer training,
Hmm.
which was an increase of 800 hours from the previous year. We signed on with a new, we call Police One Academy platform, where we can go in and have different training classes that the officers log in on and watch the training, record it. We're able to track all that training, and there's a lot, human trafficking, de-escalation, use of force. And we can also tailor the platform to our own training. So if we do a policy change, we'll post it on the platform. So we know that the officers reviewed it and understand it. So it's a good tracking program as well.
Did you read about, is it one town in Connecticut is piloting the visual reality training?
Yeah,
Or virtual reality, whatever.
yeah. And I don't know if you heard, we had received a COPS grant for de-escalation, and part of that, I'm looking at some sort of module that may be a part of that.
It's expensive though, it's what,
Yeah.
$100,000?
Yeah, this is a little, it was like 25,000, but you can buy different platforms.
Is it like the, would you say it's what was the name of the platform?
Police One Academy.
Police One Academy. Is it something that's like kind of helps the officers feel the scenario or get
No,
into,
it's
or just
more,
understanding?
yeah, it's more of going on a computer
Mhm,
and seeing, a PowerPoint video, things like that.
mhm.
See what else, what we do biannual firearms training, and we just finished, or in the process of finishing our low light. This time of year, we do a low light where the officers shoot in the dark. Because if you think about it, almost 2/3 of the day, the officers it's at night.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure they're proficient in that. Active shooter, building clearing, officer survival. We went up with the body cams. We had to do training on all the body cams. We had officers. We recently purchased a drone. We actually used it for the O'Reilly shooting. So we have officers that have been trained in the use of the drone. So that required a lot of training. Evidence collection, crime scene processing. We're part of the mid-state accident reconstruction team. So those officers go to specialized training to make sure their skills are up. And the tactical team, as well as crisis negotiations. So there's a lot of training involved. So we're almost at the end of the year, so we'll see how we stack up in the hours compared to last year. We did quite a bit with the 3 hours of training.
It's awesome. I was also a question, I know it's kind of going back, but these opioid overdoses, are you seeing more on the turnpike?
Yeah,
Is that
if you go on the, I don't know if they actually have the heat map on their website, but there's the Central Connecticut Health District has a heat map where it actually shows where the opioids are. And I can tell you from Newington, majority of them are up on the Berlin Turnpike in the motels.
And you guys obviously do whatever you can, but the motels are privately owned?
They're private, right, but we have obviously jurisdiction.
Okay.
So, I mean, if there's an issue there, they call, we go up there.
How much of the Berlin Turnpike is Newington? Is it where
It-
Hooters starts?
No,
No?
it's actually where the Flying Monkey is,
Okay.
all the way down to
160, is it 160?
Raleigh Street, down where Stu Leonard's is.
Oh, really?
I know
thought it was
Stu's is
private
Newington.
now.
Yeah, that
I
whole
thought it was more
section.
down, like Home Depot, or is that?
No.
No, that's,
Uh-uh,
no,
that's
when you
Berlin,
cross over,
right.
that's Berlin.
Okay. So from Flying Monkey
Flying
to like
Monkey
Stu's?
to Stu's. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes, like the Taco Bell is
yeah,
Berlin.
yeah.
Oh, the
Taco
Taco
Bell,
Bell.
Taco's
yeah.
Berlin, but the
Yeah.
Starbucks is
So if you're on,
Newington.
if you're
Okay.
standing on Raleigh Street,
Mhm.
the left side, south side is Berlin, the right side, north side is Newington.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
That's still a huge portion of the
It's, yeah.
turnpike.
Quite a bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
It seems to be the most active part of the turnpike though, like driving down.
Yeah,
through,
well,
like,
it's funny, because my sister
Meriden
worked
or
years ago,
whatever's
worked
down
for
there.
Conover,
Uh-huh.
and they, Leechmere Plaza. And, back then when she was working for them, the Berlin Turnpike, just the Newington section was like the hottest retail area in the state.
Mm.
And that's
Really?
when you saw all the growth. And then now you have 333 Berlin Turnpike, that's going up.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be big.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Where's it?
That's,
Just north
just
of
above
Best Buy.
Best Buy.
Just, oh, okay.
Yeah,
In
we're-
that giant plot next to Express Kitchens?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
doing all
Okay.
the construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
What is
yes.
that gonna
Sally's Pizza,
It'd be a huge-
Is
Yeah.
it,
I
is
can't
it going
believe
in there
that.
or?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah, Sally's Pizza.
Is that out of New
With
Haven?
retail?
Out of New Haven?
Yeah, there's Sally's
That's weird.
Pizza, cookie crumble.
Not the
Yeah,
best.
But the
No.
one-
It's not the
College
best
Street
one.
is great.
I think there's
Which one's the best?
Retail on the other
Parties.
side of Cocoa Drive.
Zupardi's
Oh,
is
so it's
is
right
in,
on
it's
the-
actually in
yeah.
West Haven, but it's
I
the
never seen
best,
that.
best New Haven pizza,
Yeah.
hands down.
When are we getting a Shake Shack?
I think so, yeah.
That's going.
I'm excited. Like I was excited when they brought it to West Hartford because I used to live in New York and I love Shake Shack. And I think we're getting was Shake Shack, Sally's, that Louisiana Cafe. It's a New Orleans cafe,
Oh,
and then we're getting
Cookie crumble.
Cookie Crumble.
oh.
I travel a lot. I know all these places.
Do you got anybody with a hand up?
No.
No? Okay, that's public comment, no public comment.
Covered everything perfectly.
This is awesome. This is my first meeting. So I like
Any,
this.
so we'll go to member comment. Anybody have any comments, any questions, concerns?
The only thing I wanted to bring up, I know you had started the, Give Them a Break program.
Yes.
Is that kind of still ongoing or
No,
is it not?
that kind of tapered out.
Okay,
What's to give them a break? Okay.
So, last year, we, partnered with Geico for people that had like a tail light out or a headlight out. So instead of giving them a ticket, we would give them a voucher to have their tail light or headlight fixed.
Oh, that's different. That's cool.
Yeah, that's great.
I was gonna ask one question. Do we have any trafficking issues with like sex trafficking or anything in our town?
I can tell you there's 2 cases that we've had in town here that have gone to the FBI.
Like on Berlin Turnpike?
Yeah, I'm just not gonna say.
Oh,
which,
yeah,
but I can
that's what
tell
I
you
was
there's
wondering.
2
Yeah.
cases that
Wow,
started here in town that have gone to the FBI.
wow.
So when we get something like that, we follow up on it. And, obviously the FBI has a lot more resources that we have. And then if you look at the other side of it, if that case gets taken federally and you get arrested and you get federal time, you're gonna do a considerable amount of time federally than
Yeah.
you were arrested.
My other
State
question
courts.
was, where do you see most of your calls coming from? Is it coming from Turnpike area or
I can
like?
tell you right now, it's coming from everywhere.
Oh, really? I didn't know if like more of them like Berlin Turnpike because we're like residential and I didn't know.
It's coming from everywhere. It's
Really?
just, since I'm the Derek, the radio doesn't stop, does not stop.
Wow.
It's just, we're very, very busy.
And if somebody wanted to like apply, they could just go online and.
Yeah, police app.
Now, with regard to the new construction and these new apartments and, you know, all this new influx of population, has there been any planning for increasing? I know we're already short for, has there been any plan or discussion of
I had a
the
meeting,
increase?
I had a meeting with the new acting town manager yesterday, and
Mhm.
I brought up that topic.
Okay.
So there has been some discussion, yeah.
Not gonna be some sort of shock when you.
How many units are going there?
Oh, I don't even
200
know.
something.
It's a lot.
Where,
Yeah,
33,
and that's not
33.
even the only one. Then there's the one on Cedar Street.
Well, you
One on
have-
Cedar Street.
you have 106 on the old Crest,
Mhm.
Right,
then you have the hotel,
that's coming, then you've got.
then you got the old National Welding, how many are going in there? 300?
Because it's gonna be a hotel and then and then apartments, so.
Yeah.
the
Where's
combination
that going?
On Fen Road.
Then you have 160
Like
going
between where
in
the
on
Dunkin' Donuts is and the new Cumberland Farms.
A
Like,
hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of
Oh,
construction
the,
going
where
on.
the
Yeah.
radio tower is or wherever.
Yeah.
in
And
the-
you've got
Okay.
on, oh geez, there's gonna be 100 something. on
106
Payne
on
Road.
Payne and Maselli.
Right in Selly. And you've got, the road behind Lowe's.
Yeah.
Street.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Culver,
Street.
yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be, what was it? Keith Chapman did a good, overview last year. It's almost like 2,000.
There's a lot
I
of.
need
like
more
almost-
offices with 2,000 extra people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
mean,
think
our-
about
our
that
pop-
too, with me, like
They're
I'm on
like
the
one or
school
two
board,
more
like where are they
people.
gonna?
Please.
But our
We don't
population
have
rate,
those.
we've been 30,000 per year,
money.
and now we're gonna be getting up to
For the school
more than
systems.
2,000,
The
3,000
thing
people.
with
Right,
us.
but
is
then
we
you
don't even
have, then you
we
have
don't
the retail going along with it.
Mhm.
Hopefully.
So,
Hopefully, I mean, yeah, the real retail,
It's a
but everybody
domino
sits
effect.
behind their computer and buys stuff.
yeah.
That's why these pie in the sky.
Well, I mean, you have 333 Berlin Turnpike, that's retail in the front,
Mm.
you know. Some of it, I mean, the small plaza over on Penn Road, that's only 3 or 4, that's small. But, there's more things going on in town now. Things that, you look at O'Reilly's, we had the double shooting there.
Ugh.
We had another shooting that nobody knows about that happened at, a week ago.
You're in
At the
Europe.
Bolorama, where there was a shooting.
Calhoun's?
No.
Bolorama.
Bolorama
Further down.
Turnpike, yeah.
Oh,
where there
okay.
it was essentially a robbery gone bad,
Ugh.
and it was, somebody was shot and killed.
Oh.
And then, the other day,
On my
over,
street.
Yeah.
we had the shooting there. So for us, we're seeing more and more, cases where guns are being involved.
These are young people though, when I keep looking, they're not like 40, 50, 60, they're like 20 years old, 18, like
Well,
maybe we could build
two-
something
two-
for them to
two
do.
out- 2 out of the 3, they were in their 20s, early 20s.
I was thinking,
O'Reilly's was in his
one of the
20s,
things
or-
I was thinking of, and not like it has anything
He's
to
out
do
of
with
town
this.
though, right? Or
Well, he's,
they're not local?
yeah, well, it looks like he was staying locally.
Oh, he was, okay.
But one of the things I was thinking is like we're building all these things that maybe we're good for someone like me who's like 34, right? What about the things for, what about something for the kids?
We have a good
Oh,
Parks and
communities-
Recreation department. I
But
mean,
like
I
a
really
community
don't-
center.
We do.
I don't think
We do, I know we do, but like, when I was younger, and it wasn't that long ago, I was born in '89, like we had like the Boys and Girls Clubs, we had things for them to do, go to like places to actually go into. And then I noticed like, even like on my street, my situation, those were kids. Those are not,
Well,
those
I
are
mean, at
not
some point,
adults.
people have to start taking responsibility for their own entertainment too. I think
That's
Newington
true.
offers a lot with, we've got the sports club, we've got so many sports teams and leagues and whatever, we've got Parks and Rec, we have,
There's a
think
lot
that's
going,
gonna
there's a
solve the
lot going
problem.
on.
we do have a lot of things, but I'm just
We do.
wondering.
on a more brighter note, how did the stuff a cruiser go?
It went good.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of gift cards.
Good.
I think that the rain kind of,
Oh, that's right.
it poured out that day.
Hmm.
So that kind of, washed away a little bit.
He was
But,
telling us about the Dick's that they're having tomorrow. Where, do you want to talk?
yeah, so tomorrow, we're partnering with Dick's
by West Farms?
by West Farm, so, we have families in town whose kids, youth play sports that, are in need of equipment for one reason or another. So, Dick's is doing with us, partnering with Shop with a Cop. So tomorrow, the kids and the parents are gonna come to the PD, we're gonna have pizza. Board of Ed has provided us with a bus. We'll load everybody on the bus. And then we're gonna do a police escort up to Dick's, and the kids could use their $100 gift card to buy whatever it is they need for their sport, whether it's cleats, a glove,
Mhm.
sweatpants or whatever,
Wow.
basketball or
So cool.
whatever. So we're gonna be doing that tomorrow.
I wonder if there's more things that, I mean, I know you guys have a lot going on and you're short, like, are there other things throughout the year that you do with the kids?
Yeah, I mean, we used to do the youth academy. We don't do that anymore. A lot of it has to do, staffing has been an issue.
Right.
You can only go to the troops so often.
Yeah.
I mean, when they're doing their normal shifts and then they're getting ordered in to cover shifts, it's hard to keep going
Going
to
to the
them.
same
You
people.
don't want to burn them out.
Yep.
So, we're making some headway with the staffing, and that hopefully will alleviate some of the order ins, but it's gonna take time. It's, from the time they say I do, they're not on the road on their own until 9 months.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, I mean, we have 4 officers that are all gonna be in the academy together, but yet, it's gonna be 9 months before they're in a patrol car.
Wow.
Feels like having a baby.
Exactly. Yeah. You could probably, you know what?
Like,
You could probably make a baby
Academy
faster.
review.
Yeah, it takes 9 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the baby.
Is there anything we could do to help in terms of?
That's what I was gonna say. I'd love to help more.
Like,
You know what it is?
Continuing to
You already
promote
have.
or-
You already have. I think we have a tremendous amount of support, from the community, and at least for me, where I want to go and work, I want to go to work for a community that obviously has good pay and benefits, but I also want to go to a community that gives the officers the support that they deserve. And
yeah.
I think we have the best of both worlds here. We have although our pay and benefits aren't the best, they're very competitive, but the officers have that support, and that's important. And,
Mhm.
I mean, I get the emails that we get. I was getting coffee this morning, and I had a young woman come up to me and was so appreciative how 2 of our officers helped her and her daughter, and both officers are relatively new, and those 2 young officers made a huge impact on this resident and her daughter.
Mhm.
And so those things are important.
I will say, to be short staffed, they are responsive. Okay, real quick. It doesn't take too long. You call something, and me, I'm always looking. So I'm like, if that's one thing I will say. Like in other towns, if you call, the police for anything, it's sometimes 20, 30 minutes. In Newington, they're very responsive. So that is something that we're grateful for. And if the Board of Ed can help you in any way, I'd love to help. Board of Ed, so we try to.
Any public comment?
No.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll adjourn, so you can